You need to fix your self-leveling tamper. Here's the deal. When you bought this, you thought that it would live up to its name and be a self-leveling tamper. But the reality of it is that poor manufacturing tolerances in most of the tampers on the market cause it to not necessarily be self-leveling. The reason for that is simple. This top plate right here is supposed to stay perfectly level so that when the plunger goes down, the tamper itself goes down into the portafilter basket, it stays perfectly level. That's what it's supposed to do. However, many of the ones on the market have manufacturing tolerances that allow play in the shafts, which allows there to be an unlevel tamp. So when you bought this, you thought you'd be able to do it quickly. And so you just assume that when you tamp it, that it's going to be level. But what if it's not? Well, this one right here is made by Decent Espresso. They're known for their espresso machines primarily, but this is one of their accessories. And this is actually one of the best ones I've ever tried. But even this one, which is excellent, has just a little bit of play. The easiest way to fix this is by utilizing anti-friction tape. Another word for it is polyethylene tape. And it looks like this. When it goes on, it actually goes on fairly thin. You can see as you peel the backing off that it's actually somewhat transparent. And then that basically fills in the tolerances that you have in between the various gaps inside of your tamper so that it's able to stay level. Let me walk you through how you would do that on this one. Now, the first thing that you're going to need is the tape itself and then some sort of tool for cutting it. You could use scissors to cut the tape, but because you'll be cutting the tape in a couple different dimensions, you'll be cutting it into small slivers potentially. I recommend you use a tool like an X-Acto knife. This one is Fisker's version of an X-Acto knife. But the first thing you'll need to do is grasp the tamper and the handle tightly. And then in almost all cases, the handle will unscrew like this. Of course, you'll have to do what Your Tamper requires to start the disassembly process. There will be a number of springs and small pieces that you'll need to keep track of as you disassemble. So now you can see the parts that actually move during the tamping process, or you can look at this as basically the leveling portions of that. And so you can see here what I described about there being wobble or play in between the shafts of the tamper. So we'll go ahead and take off the leveling plate, and we'll come back to that in a moment. And then we can look at the next level down, which is where the actual inner rod or shaft of the tamper goes up to another spring and actually has the pressure, because this is what they call a calibrated tamper. So we'll go into here for a moment. So in this particular case, I actually don't think that I need to add anything to this inner shaft. So that may be the way it is with your tamper. There may be some that have really tight tolerances, and so you don't need to worry about that. So that's something to keep in mind. So with that being as tight as it is, I'm just going to go ahead and reassemble it. So I'm going to put the calibration spring back into it. And then I will slide it down and put the pin back into place. All right, so once the pin is back in, we're going to look at the next part of this. And we definitely saw there was wobble with the actual leveling plate itself. So I already had that piece here. It's about maybe somewhere between 1/4 inch or 1/2 inch wide. I'm going to lay it right here on this blank space on the side. You don't necessarily need to come all the way to the top. The actual leveling plate doesn't travel all the way to the top. It actually just stays mostly here in the bottom of the range. So now this is very snug. Actually, I think it feels like it may just be a little bit too snug. I'm going to take just a little bit of material off of here. Because while you want it to have better tolerances and not wobble, still needs to slide smoothly, so it can't be too tight. So I removed that piece. Let's put this back on, do another test fit. Oh yeah, that's much better. All right, now let's go ahead and finish the reassembly process. I'll put this collar back on, the spring over the collar, and then the handle back on again. Now, yeah, much better. It's a little snug, but over time, it will loosen up a little bit. And if it doesn't, you can go back in and just remove a little bit more of the material. But what you don't have now is wobble. And that's all you'll need to do. Then you can be sure that your self-leveling tamper is indeed self-leveling. Take care, everyone.